that we have joined with 10 other institutions in the country, all noted institutions in the country. And we have come up with this wonderful program, which I believe is equally interesting for all of you. And then we have more than 2,500 people joining us every day, around 2,500 people offering us their feedback every day, which we are compiling and sending to you all across. Around 4,500 people registered every day, and close to almost 900 people joining us on Zoom, equally around 3 to 4,000 people watching us live on the YouTube video stream. So it's really getting interesting day by day, and today we are on the 5th day of our FTP. Today is 12 June, and interestingly, today is also the World Day Against International Child Labor. So let us all resolve to eradicate this problem of child labor, and let us all be committed with a strong bond of connection with the society, and let us try to empower and educate each one within ourselves, among ourselves, who are in our neighborhood, to eradicate this problem of child labor. And on this sweet note, let me take this opportunity to welcome all our speakers. Principal Sawant, we have two principals of eminent colleges of the country who would be talking to us, Principal Sawant and Madam Mrs. Preeta Malya. Of course, we have Dr. Sister Pearl, Principal Pearl.
Warm wishes and greetings from Sophia Girls College, Ajmer, Autonomous, the host institution for the 5th day of the 7-day faculty development program on institutional benchmarking of best practices. Sophia Girls College, Ajmer is a 60-year-old institution managed by the Mission Sisters of Ajmer, dedicated to the cause of women education and empowerment. We are among the only 4 autonomous institutions in the state of Rajasthan and have set up exemplary standards by our successful implementation of 5 years of autonomy and are presently in the 3rd cycle of NAC. For a formal welcome of the principals, resource persons, and participants for the evening, I request Dr. Sister Pearl, Principal, Sophia Girls College, Ajmer, to do the honors.
Good evening to one and all. I welcome you to the 5th day of the Faculty Development Program on Institutional Benchmarking of Best Practices, which is being organized from the 8th to the 14th of June, organized by the IQAC of 10 renowned institutions all over the country. I take this opportunity to thank very specially DPMS Shri Malika Arjun and Shri Chetan Manju Desai College, Goa, and the partner institutions, Parvati Bhai Chogale College of Arts and Science, Goa, AKI's Pune College of Arts, Commerce and Science, Pune, KLE Society's Lingaraj College, Belagavi, Shikshan Prasarak Sansthan Sangamner, Nagarpalika Arts, DJ Malpani Commerce, and BN Sharda Science College, Sangamner, South Asian Institute for Advanced Research and Development, Kolkata. I thank each one of them for collaborating for this great event, which has completed 4 days. I welcome very specially all the principals, the managers, from all over the country for this great event. Today, we will be having the 5th day of the Faculty Development Program, and we have with us great renowned persons who will be acting as resource persons for the session today. We will have with us Dr. N.N. Sawant, the principal of Chogale College, Goa, Dr. Binu Thomas, the IQAC coordinator of Marian College, Kuttikanan, Kerala, Dr. Sachin Morris from Chogale College, and Dr. Preeta Malia, Principal of Shri Damodar College of Commerce and Economics, Goa. The theme for today's sessions are student support and progression.
Our first speaker for the evening is Dr. Nand Kumar Sawant, the principal of Parvati Bai Chogle College of Arts and Science, Autonomous, Margao, the only autonomous college in the state of Goa. He is peer team member of NAC, an expert member of the UGC for the conferment of autonomous status to the college. Awarded the best teacher for the state of Goa in the year 2017 and by the Goa University in 2010. He has rich experience in research with more than 55 research paper publications, 75 research paper presentations, and more than 50 as invited speaker. He has a wide international exposure as visiting faculty to foreign universities, collaborative research, and participation in international academic deliberations. We welcome you, Dr. Sawant, and invite you for your presentation. Over to you, sir.
Good evening and namaste. Monsoons have set in, and that's why my background is so colorful. Monsoons are very welcoming in the state of Goa, and rich environment. I'm sure these sessions also are going to be rich and going to be very learning part of it. I'm going to speak about something about global outlook, and more importantly, share some experiences that we have in this college over the years. Parvati Bai Chogle College is one of the oldest college in the state of Goa, started in 1962, just after the liberation from the Portuguese yoke. We have been always at the forefront of education and try to do new things. We would say that yes, we are doing good in teaching, learning, and of course in having and global outlook is something which is one of the practices. Today the criteria is fifth, which is talking about students as well as, so I'm going to do a synergy between criteria 5 and criteria 6, which talks one side the students progression, but the other side I also would like to say that how a prospective plan becomes into a reality when we think in a very consolidated longitudinal framework. So I would present through a PowerPoint presentation, and so basically I'm going to talk about global outlook of the college. My presentation would be about 20 to 25 minutes, and it could be divided into 3 parts, where first part I would talk about the objectives, the start, the timelines. The second part is the process and the evidences, and the third would be the outcome and challenges and how do you look forward. Actually, if you look at the NAC guidelines, I'm almost trying to put it in the way in which they would like to put as one of the best practices. You know, every education institute, I think, needs to have a statement of ambition. And when I use the word statement of ambition, it means a prospective plan. And why do we require a prospective plan? The reason is very simple, that we want to benchmark and improve the quality. And this quality would be something which could be a unique identity, maybe at the national level, maybe at the regional level, maybe at the international level, depending on what is your prospective plan. But the most important part is, first, it should be supported with the vision and mission statement of the college or the institution. And the second part is, it should be in bits. When I use the word bits, it means from the short term, it becomes a mid-term and a long term. And then you sometimes put in your system, which means you institutionalize the part of it. This is the mission statement and the vision statement of this college: to be among global leaders in imparting relevant education. So I've only red colored which what I'm going to talk about. And the mission is to continue to be pioneers of change using cutting edge technology in educational inputs and technology. And this is what I'm going to focus on in my today's presentation. Of course, we would like to give equal opportunities, inculcate social and moral values, and transform the society and the nation at large. But my focus of this presentation would be global leaders in imparting relevant education and to be pioneers of change, giving educational inputs. What is the objective? The objective is uh, increase global competencies and provide education of global standards. And when I make this as a statement of ambition, what do I require? I would say it could be achieved in four important components. First, benchmarking international universities, exposure to faculty and students at international level, adopting best practices of some of the foreign universities, and of course, I think the owners, what lies more is experimenting, providing opportunities, and then what fits in, we put in the system. Uh, the slide shows what did we do. The point that I'm going to impress in this slide is that it is not that it comes up just overnight. It needs to have a longitudinal plan, and which will help the education institute to broaden the horizons. And therefore, if you look at, we almost started from 2007 and we have reached till 2018 down, it you cannot see, but it's up to this 2020. So it means more than a decade has been spent. And if you look at between 2007 to 2011, we have focused more on the uh, exchange programs. But if you look at afterwards, we have diversified, like including foreign languages, then of course having MOUs with many other universities to have academic exchange, credit transfers, and of course we are one of the beneficiaries of Erasmus Plus of the European Union, and therefore you could see diversification. So this slide, I would just make a conclusion that start small and then based on the way you want to grow, you keep on expanding. So this is what shows the spectrum of initiatives that we did to give global exposure, which means benchmarking foreign universities, uh, including academic curriculum and ordinances change according to that, introducing foreign languages, having exchange programs, inviting faculties and researchers on the campus, and of course, today we are in the world of collaboration, and therefore, without collaboration, we would not be able to give a global output. So I'm going to take one after another, and which I would say that the first thing that we did was uh, in 2007, four faculty members and the management made a visit to the US. And the whole focus was to look at the pedagogy and the way in which is taught, and of course, technology was coming in. And this slide shows that, yes, we visited MIT USA, and we found out that they have a way in which they put up their learning resources. So on the same basis, what did we do was that we also took up Moodle, which we converted into a CLAP. The word CLAP means Chevrolet's learn anytime, any place. But the structuring is almost the same what MIT does. Like we have the course home, we have the syllabus, we have the calendar, lecture notes, and you could see a snapshot where we have shown the course description, the name of the faculty, course objectives and outcomes. And therefore, this was a benchmarking if you talk about e-learning resources. Apart from that, other three universities that we benchmarked was Sussex University, UK, Boston and Georgia Tech University, USA. From the Sussex University, we talked about students club system, and I'm very happy to tell you that we have a very well organized club systems. We have almost 32, and they're independently functioning with all their ways in which they need to function. And of course, when we talk about feedback mechanism, and of course, since we are autonomous college, a graduation ceremony which could have a other format where we expect the chief guest to speak more of his experiences and instead of just telling what to be done and not to be done. From US, of course, we took up something called the concept of writing center. And again, here I'm very proud that Parvatibai Chogule College would be one of those which has a writing center. A writing center enables the students to become good writers. The way academic writing and content writing is becoming such an important aspect in our higher education. We also believe that if you want to enhance teaching learning process and of course progression of students, you require to have a student support services, and therefore our student support services has several branches, like we have an international exchange program, we have a counselors, we have a statistician, we have a research assistant, and of course the writing center. The most important thing is that if you go to a lot of US universities, each of the university has a mascot, and we thought that Chogule College should have a mascot, and therefore today if you come down to Goa, we are known as the Chogule Tigers. Now this Chogule Tiger as a mascot came with the opinion poll of the students, and we thought that tiger is an identity and we would like to imbibe the qualities of a Chogule Tiger. What did we do? And we did a lot of things. For example, if you want to have a global exposure, of course we changed the courses, and thankfully since we are autonomous colleges, we introduced course called as academic writing. And if you visit many of the foreign universities and look at the curriculum and the courses, that's a compulsory course. We felt that every student should have a mathematical base, and therefore statistical methods was one of the courses that we introduced, whether it is art, science, or languages. And of course various disciplines use different courses, like the geography teaches studies of South Asia, we have Latin American studies, and of course the writing center also runs a course called as British English course. Since we were interacting with a lot of stakeholders and feedbacks, one of the feedbacks that gave is that foreign languages, if a student learns, it's going to add value to them. And therefore we introduced a series of, and we introduced a school called as School of Foreign Languages, like we had the Portuguese, Spanish, French, German, and you could see a snapshot of that in the newspaper. And I just showed a snapshot. The reason is that many times we thought of documentation, even if it has come on your newspaper, and this could be a way in which you can document some of your things that you're doing on your campus. The second part is that since we are autonomous and since we wanted to have a global outlook and exposure to the students, what did we do was that we changed our ordinances. We said that yes, any student who wants to study abroad and be a part of the Chogule College can be done. And therefore, today a student studying abroad can earn credits and still not lose a year. So as per our ordinances, very clearly a student can spend a semester or academic year. The Board of Studies matches the courses that the student are offering abroad, and then you could get the credit transfer. So I've just listed 3 universities because we are very clear that what standards they maintain and which universities are compatible to the courses that we offer. And based on that, our students get credit transfer. The advantage of this academic credit transfer is that a student has to pay the fees of what Chogule College charges. So it's very less payment of fees, and the student can go to that university and do a course or maybe a diploma. The third aspect that was that we started with something called as international exchange program. We have with a lot of institutions within Sweden. About 4 to 5 institutions do we have. In Japan we have 2, Sri Lanka we have 2, and in of course Portugal 1. How does this exchange program work? It is a 2-week program each. That means our students go to the foreign university or to the host organization for 15 days or 2 weeks, and same way the Swedish or the Japanese group comes here and spends 2 weeks. So therefore you would say it's almost a 1-month program that takes place. But the model that we applied is a homestay model. And the homestay model is basically for 2 reasons. First, to understand culture and appreciate, and of course to cut down the costing also. But there is the exposure of culture, society. Along with this, the students do a small little mini project, And since we are autonomous, we also give 2 credits to a student who participate in this exchange program. Of course, it's not an academic credit, it's a non-evaluative credit, but we have seen that a lot of students would like to avail this facility. This is just a snapshot of what students who come from Sweden or Japan do when we host them in the college. Basically, we teach them something called yoga. Then the students attend some of the classes that our teachers teach. Then, of course, there is a time given for students to do many projects. It could be science-based, it could be social science-based. They also attend specific courses on Goa, culture, history, and anything. Our students also do a performance to show and showcase the heritage of Goa or the culture of Goa or Indian. And of course, we also post lunch take them to visit like heritage places, tribal villages, cottage industry. So basically, it's a leg dem a model that is used where students also attend lectures and also see a demonstration and then also conduct a small little research part of it. These are few some of the snaps where our students have gone abroad or those students have come on our campus. Uh, the next part is that we feel that all students might not be able to go abroad, but then how do we facilitate it? And the other way is that bring foreign faculty on our campus. And we have 3 verticals in this. One is the short term, where foreign faculty would come and conduct a workshop or a training program for 2 weeks or maybe for a week or so. It could be specific, maybe like plagiarism, creative writing, assignment writing, short story writing, or it could be discipline specific. The second is a faculty, foreign faculty who has applied for a sabbatical leave would come. We would host them and they would teach a course as well as conduct a research. And the third is that since we have MOUs, sometimes the university deputes a faculty on our campus. For example, in the Portuguese language, the University of Porto has a faculty on our campus teaching Portuguese from 2013. So I've just listed some of the universities which we have received the foreign faculty. It's like University of Ottawa, Canada, Sussex University, Georgia Tech, USA, Kelaniya University, Sri Lanka, University of Pécs from Hungary, and Sofia University, Japan. The other part is that we have been able to do collaborations, and we have been able to do collaborations where we have been able to do international conferences or workshops jointly, once in Sri Lanka and once in India. But with Porto University and La University, we were funded by the European Union under the Erasmus Plus project. And here there was faculty exchange program, and of course now our students are also using academic credits. With specific to La Union, it was much more on a wider scale where a faculty can go for a month and teach, and a research scholar can go for almost 6 months and stay and do a research. So it was on a very wider canvas that we looked at the collaborations part of it. I feel that research is a very important thing, and today it has to go on a wider scale and it has to become little globalized. Local with global context could be a great thing, and therefore one of the ways in which we did was that PhD students could take cross-border research. Like one of my students does research work on Sri Lanka, especially in the housing projects and many other aspects. Similarly, we could initiate international research project. Like I collaborated with the National Research Council of Thailand, and we did work research part of it. And the third part is that a lot of foreign sometimes scholars want to come collaborate with you and do a collaborative research. And this is the way it enriches your quantum of work that you do in context of research. Now, it all looks very nice and it looks very easy to move on. But I would say that there is a lot of thinking. Why Japanese are so good? Because they think and plan well and then execute part of it. Almost 80 to 90% of the time is put in planning. And I think when we talk about prospective planning, it has to look into various dimensions. The first thing that comes is the finance. Whenever you want to start a program, money is an important factor, and therefore I would say we were fortunate that the management took this initiative and put the first corpus money, and then we became a self-sustaining. Today all our exchange programs are self-sustaining. We fund our teachers as well as students, because yes, we thought that at point of time you do not show dependency, but it becomes a self-sustaining model. Second thing, there has to be a different office where there's a designated coordinator and secretary assistants. Because when we think of any program, whether it's exchange program or many other things, you require continuous emailing, uh, choice of the students, collection of the fees, orientation, accompanying the students, preparing them for cultural shows. Like when we go to abroad, we put a cultural show called as India program, and that's the way we do it. And of course, you need to have a office which is designated, because you lot to have a communication, brochures, displays. You have guests coming up, so there has to be a center for international exchange program. More important thing I think is that a mindset, a campus which thinks we appreciate diversity, and then say that yes, we want to make it as an integral part of the system. We were fortunate that we have a very good campus, because when we talk about internationalization and global context, we need to have matching infrastructure. So a need like Wi-Fi campus, activity zone, conferences room, hygienic food in the canteen, many other things that to be add on. And the last thing which I would say is that start small and then expand. When we talk about an outlook, we always need to see what are the schemes that are coming at international level. Many a times you see also on the UGC website, like I know there was a Hungary exchange program that was announced in the month of January. So you need somebody who keeps on looking and applying for the same. What were the outcomes? Because whatever you do, what is the outcome of this? Portuguese course has been one of our most popular, and in last 5 years, we have almost we have seen more than 500 students taking this course. And as per the European level, we have level 1 to level 5 going on, and many of them we have in the uni classes, because a lot of people from the community also wants to take it. We did a big course where of course most of our students are doing, and of course we did at the primary level and then the secondary level. International exchange program in last 5 years, we have almost sent 75 students and almost 16 faculty from our campus, and our students have been able to appreciate culture, understand global, and they are now becoming more of a global students. The advantage that I've seen when the students go for an exchange program is that they also start appreciating your own culture. And the most important thing is that many of them, these students want to apply to foreign universities. Under the Erasmus program, we had an exchange program of not only the faculty but also the students part of it. We had research collaborations, like I myself hosted 3 research scholars from University of Stockholm, University of Pex, and University of La Union. And we have a lot of foreign faculty under this, which I have already given the numbers. What are the outcomes? I'm sure we need to look broader scale. One of the outcomes that we see is that once the faculty came, they were able to write articles in the newspaper. So the whole philosophy of this was to knowledge sharing. What we have learned or experiences that we have done when we visited abroad, let it be known to more of the community, and therefore you could see newspapers put across. We've also been able to use our expertise for writing research projects. And very recently, one of our faculty member was given a fund for a management plan for one of the zoos in Goa, which was by the Forest Department of Goa. What we have seen is that the number of students seeking admissions to foreign university has increased. In about last year's record, there have been almost 25 students who have sought admission in foreign universities. That's the way it is. I would also like to emphasize here is that when we have an exchange program, it does not restrict only to the students. Because they have homestays, family also becomes a part of this exchange program. And one of the best experiences that we have seen is that after passing out, the families have moved to one place to another. Like one Goan family went to Sweden, and one of the students' family came over here. So it became a much more a broader way part of it. I would like to just give one or two examples which could make my statement of ambition much more lithified. Uh, Aarti Joshi is an exception to what I'm going to speak. Aarti Joshi joined our college for two reasons. First, we had foreign language, and she wants to do a career in linguistics. And therefore, she took BA in English and French. In the second year, she applied for a scholarship to Japan, and she got the JESCO scholarship, and she did a diploma in Japanese linguistics. And in the third year, she again applied to the Porto University. And in the newspaper cuttings, I've just put for you that she was studying in the University of Porto, and then she got admission to Oxford University, UK. So what I'm trying to emphasize is this is how the progression of a student takes place when a campus exposes students on a very wider canvas, or I would say on a context. The other story is Fozia B. Sheikh. She was a biotechnology student, got selected for MBBS, but she said that I want to do biotechnology in Parvati Bai Chogale College. While she was studying in Parvati Bai Chogale College, she used to do a research at the National Institute of Atlantic and Ocean Research after her classes, and she applied for a Purana scholarship in 2018 and got, and she did a 3 months worked under one of the scientists of research in cell biology. The best part is that today she is at University of Edinburgh, and the scholarship has been, her study has been funded by the British Council. So this is, we talk about how an institution can give a very wider students progression, and of course also the vision and the mission statement of the college is achieved. Before I sum up, I just want to like to say what is so unique when students give you some evidences. There was a boy called Srijit who came from Tamil Nadu, joined our college because he wanted to be a footballer, and Goa is known for football. After doing his graduation in sociology, he went to Lincoln University, New Zealand, and he writes something very good about this college is that club system helped him in Lincoln College University, sorry, to form clubs of futsal and squash, and of course he was helped in various part of it. More important, he talks about our teaching learning process. He says, I was very comfortable when I went to a foreign university. And let me tell you, it is just not Srijit is one of them. There are many students who tell us that, yes, the passage from undergraduate in India to a postgraduate in any foreign university is so smooth and seamless because we try to give a global exposure and context to our students. But let me tell you, all is not good. Failures also need to be understood. Like we were not able to continue one of our foreign languages, like especially Spanish, German, and Russian, because there was poor response from students as well as from the community. Though a lot of Russian tourists came to India, we still were not able to take an advantage of this. Exchange program with Japan and Sri Lanka has not been very responsive. One of the reasons is of the language barriers that we have realized this. And of course, British Council put a slab of what number of students should take at one particular course. Normally, we used to get about 35 to 40 students, but now they are saying minimum 100 students have to be enrolled to run a BEC course because they have to come from Pune and conduct the examination and many other things. And therefore, we have put at point of time a full stop. And of course, something today unforeseen, for example, COVID-19 is definitely going to impact our exchange programs because I'm sure the parents, nor the students, nor we as an institution would take up this part of it. What I'm just trying to tell you is that, whenever we thought of a longitudinal plan, there are going to be, speed breakers. But I'm sure with a clear-cut vision, with a thought process, with systems that work, it will well work. And therefore, I would conclude that 3 important points: that we need to have a prospective plan, very clear. need to work meticulously and match with the vision and mission of the statement of the college. And lastly, start small and then create an identity. With this, thank you so much for this opportunity. It was pleasure to speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sawant. Thank you, Dr. Sawant, for sharing your valuable inputs. Your insightful suggestions will surely be incorporated by many of us.